If you guys come in, give it a like, thumbs up, share it out. Oh, Lord, gotta get ready for tomorrow. First day of the new job. Thank you. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Oh, and that's Sleepy Hollow, the TV series, if y'all see it in the corner. I actually kind of liked it. We'll see who's up. If not, I'm just going to talk. I'll give it about 5 minutes or so. And I got stuff to do. Laundry got done yesterday. In Arizona, it rained hard. And I had to leave the clothes in the car and had to go get them. I just got them out right now. Finish up some dishes. And I might be making something called cowboy candy, which is sliced jalapenos in kind of a syrup type sauce. And you have to make it. I'm going to try. It's the first time I watched a van lifer and he did a little thing where all his subscribers and wherever he was at got together and they brought him different gifts because they like his channel. And one of the ladies made something called cowboy candy. I was like, what is that? He's in Canada. It's like they take the jalapenos and I guess it's something, I think it originates out of Texas. I don't know. But they take jalapenos, they slice them up, put them in a jar. They create a syrupy sauce. I know it had sugar, brown sugar, I think vinegar, celery seed. What else did I have to have? I got everything else that I need. I had to get celery seed because I don't have celery seed. So you have to have, it says 20 jalapenos. I'm gonna cut up until the jar is filled, and then I'm only gonna do half because I'm not making that much. I'm gonna see if I like it or not because it asks for 2 cups of sugar and 2 cups of brown sugar. It's gonna be everything gonna get cut in half. And then I'm gonna make the syrup, and I have canning jars, so I'm gonna fill that canning jar up and put it in there. And then I guess it says let it sit for a few days, so we'll see what it tastes like, and we'll do that. I'll see if anybody come on today. I'm gonna review some comments regardless, and if you do see it, give it a like, thumbs up, share it out. I start the new job tomorrow for 4 o'clock to 12:30 midnight. And that's going to be for, I think, 3 weeks. And then I go to my regular shift, which is 2 p.m. to 10:30. And that's Monday through Friday. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm at 5 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and talk. I got an angle a little different today. Y'all are just seeing the door and the window a little bit. I used to get crosses from different parts of the country. I think I have some more. And that one is it's like an iron. It's really nice. And I think once I can start traveling a little bit again, I'm gonna start, you can pick them up at different truck stops and novelty shops and just different places and they'll have crosses. So little sayings, like I got some little trinkets I think I got that up somewhere on the East Coast. One talks about something with wine and it says oftentimes I love to cook with wine and sometimes I use it in my recipes or something like that. It was cute. And then the other one is one of my favorite sayings from the movie Hitch. And it says, life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. I love that movie. Let me see if somebody's in here. Who's in? Let's see who's in. I don't know who's on yet. I guess they'll chime in a minute. Welcome, whoever's on. Oh my goodness. Also special thanks because I had some trucker friends. I had friends. A lot of folks that came in and really helped me during this time. So big thanks to you guys. And I'm going to talk more in detail after I start working about how they helped and also what I learned during this process. Because when you go through a difficult time like this, because I've worked all my life since I was like 16 years old. And I worked out of high school. Like I said, I was working for the city of Tempe when I was a kid. I got recruited into that. I've always had a job. I've never had any long periods of off unless I was going to school. Like when I was going to trucking school, I was in a layoff. I'm like, okay, cool. I was getting unemployment and I went to trucking school and I basically decreased everything, but I had a place to stay. It wasn't very difficult. It was just, getting through learning a new skill. But this time it was a hit because there was nothing coming in, no unemployment, no nothing. So let's see here. And all I had was what came in from the little time at the bus and little time at the light rail, and then everything else was gone within no time at all. So some friends really came in and blessed me. Anyway, y'all, let's get to it because I guess whoever's in here ain't saying nothing. So I wanted to reply to some comments since we're at 5 minutes. I had Stephania did comments regarding things about voting, and I talked about that last time. Well, then one of the people who watches me, Truckerette, who I like Truckerette, she's cool. We've met in person. We may agree again to disagree. That's just human nature, and I'm okay with that because to me, that's America. But she also put some comments down because I don't know if when she watched the last video, she thought that I was saying abortion was the only issue. No, I was just using an example. And I think people who hopefully were in the chat understood. I was just using an example. But issues depend on what's an issue for you. So there might be 5,000 issues on the table for you. Somebody who's in their 20s, they don't really care about Social Security. In most cases, they're not thinking that far ahead, especially with this new generation of folk. Most of them ain't thinking Social Security. They don't care. That's not an issue for them. They don't really care. So they don't understand the big picture for those of us approaching or who are getting Social Security as to what it may mean if your Social Security is in privatized and they give it to some other company to invest the money. They don't understand that. And that it's already not the best with our government managing it, but it would be really bad if you understand investments to hand this over to a private company to invest that money. Because also the attitude of America is very different from that of my grandparents' days and before them. It used to be that companies would look hard at possibly outsourcing work because they didn't want that to hurt Americans and they saw this country as great. Well, that's not the focus of people anymore. The focus is self-centered, money and greed, and about me. So it's not about America. They don't really care. That's why right now our government is paying corporations to bring jobs back that they outsourced, in my humble opinion, in order to make as much money on top and to pay slave wages in other countries because they would have to pay American workers a lot more money than what they pay people overseas. So let's outsource that. We can bring more money into the company and more goes on top. And the bottom people are just people over in another country that are relevant and whatever we have to deal with for American workers here. But we cut our costs down and we can put that money in our pockets. We don't have a country that is the country of old where the business owner says, well, this ain't good for America. We don't. Those type of people are far few and in between. So they don't care. And that is a permeating attitude, even down at my level. Everybody is worried about their own stuff. They're worried about them. They ain't worried about everybody else. They're worried about them. I'm not worried about Bobby Sue. I'm not worried about what happens to my country. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what's going in my pocket. I'm worried about my household, my family. Very self-centered, very self-focused. So everybody's issues are different. And when Truckerette made her comments were like, well, abortion's not the only issue on the table. Well, yeah, I realize that. I'm using an example when I was using it in the last video as a hard topic. There are a lot of probably issues on the ballot. It's going to depend on what's important to each individual person and how they vote. Again, it's America. Do you, boo-boo. You're going to vote how you vote based on your issues. You're going to vote on women's rights. You're going to vote on being African American. You're going to vote on being a woman. You're going to vote on a worker. You're going to vote on your age group. You're going to vote on all those issues. You're going to vote on what's important to your state. For example, right now, a lot of our people here in Arizona, the two guys that are running, I think Mark Kelly and I forgot the other dude's name, they're talking about the border wall. That they know is going to be an area of conversation for the base for, whether Republican or Democrat. And so Mark Kelly is already knowing how he's going to have to float around that issue, because immigration is now an issue. So that's another issue on the table. But that might not be an issue for everybody, but for some people it is. So there's going to be a lot of issues that are on the table. And, I liked one comment you said was pray about how you vote. I'm 100% in agreement with that. You need to pray about a lot of stuff we do, and how we respond, how we vote, how we see things, the glasses that we're looking through. One of the things we just talked about, and got homework tonight too, I got to do, in my little Christian worldview class was, he put up something about how we see things. Like, I think he was talking the Big Bang Theory and evolution, and how we look through the glasses we see. And what I realized when I read a lot of it is that I am Christian, 100%, have very strong Christian views. But also when I interact with other people, I'm going to have Christian views that are biased. We're going to have a bias. We're going to have a bias because we're always going to see through our glasses, whatever those glasses may be, whether for politics, whether for voting, whether for you being a female, whatever your thing, you're going to see through the bias based on what you believe. So when it comes to political stuff, you're going to see through your own biases. The thing is that can we get to a point where we were at years ago, before we became this point of very open, weird contention that we now have in our country? Can we get to a point where we were at years ago where, hey, you got the right to just vote and think how you want to think. Okay, you can do and whatever you want to think. So I did see your comments, and I know you said, you mentioned a lot of different issues and topics. You mentioned that people need to pray and then make their choices. And I definitely agree. People need to pray about it, and they're going to make their choices. All of us decide on what we're going to do based on how we are reared, raised, how we think. It's just the way it is. So, A, thanks for leaving a comment. But B, I agree with you on at least the point that, yeah. And I was not just trying to say abortion was the only issue. There's several issues, I understand that, but those issues are going to be based on who you are and what is important to you. If and when you decide to vote, if you have to vote on those issues. And you're going to look at candidates that are going to sometimes tell you what you want to hear. That's the other thing that I always like to say. I'm not a huge person in believing necessarily politicians, because most of them do not tell you the truth. They're going to tell you what you want to hear so they can get back in that office, get that paycheck, and have that position of power. There may be some that do what they're going to say, far few and in between, and some that are going to try to do what they're going to say. I remember I was taking a college course. Was this back in my 20s at, I think it was Mesa. And we're talking about, and it was a class, I don't know if it was a history class or what it was, and they talked about a man who went into politics thinking that he could make a change. He went in there wholeheartedly, wanted to make a change. I think he only lasted his term. That was it. And he didn't want nothing to do with it, because everything that he wanted to do, very little of it could he accomplish because of all the amount of red tape he had to go through, and all the politics and all the other stuff just to get something changed. So a lot of times people tell you what they want to hear, and unless you understand it, it's a bunch of bull. They're not going to be able to accomplish half of the stuff they're telling you they want to. Point blank, period. What's the other thing I wanted to cover real quick? This won't be too long because there's too many. Hey, Flatbed, what's up? Where you at in the country? I don't know if anybody else is on here. It said a couple people came in and come out. Where you at in the country? And while I wait for you to reply, oh, I love Utah. I just talked about Utah. It's getting cool here. So is it cold there? Because we are going to hit 60s and 70s this week. We had a really good storm yesterday. I just had to leave my laundry in the car. I did laundry yesterday. I had to leave it all in the car because I had to do my blankets getting ready for winter. Okay, so, you there? What part of Utah are you in? You in Salt Lake? Provo? Where you at? Yeah, I love Utah. And what truck stop are you at? Another trucker-friendly state. Well, they got a lot of trucking. I don't know where the hell that is. You're at Pilot, and the city's Thule? I don't know if I've ever been there. What's it near? Is it near Utah, Salt Lake, or Provo? I don't know where that's at. Okay. I don't know where Thule is in conjunction to it. Pilot. I don't know where that's. I'd have to see where Thule is. But they had there's a Walmart over there, and there's a little. It's got a sandwich shop. Hey, Chicago BBW. Chicago BBW. How'd everything go with your dad? Oh, that's why I love Utah. Utah is gorgeous. Absolutely love Utah. It's probably top favorite drives when I drove a truck was Oregon and Washington. Utah would be in there, Colorado, Pennsylvania. Top favorite drives. Put Tennessee in there too. Well, prayers for you and your family. I'm sorry for the loss of your father. Are you going? Are you going to be able to go to the funeral? Because I know sometimes I'll be honest, I wasn't, with grumpy stuff, I wasn't, because I didn't have no money really to do anything. If it wasn't for my friend Joe and one of the ladies from my church, that wouldn't have happened. And I got out there and I owe money still from that trip because I owe him for fuel and I'm going to pay half his hotel stay. And half his hotel, and then he covered me for one night because we left a day early and stayed in New Mexico. Okay. All right. Well, prayers for safe trip, safe travel. I pray he knew the Lord. I always say that. And if you know the Lord, you'll see him again. That's the belief of the Christian is that, absent from the body, present with the Lord. And if we know him, we're going to see him again. We'll see family members. While that relationship is not going to be exactly the same relationship, you will know them is what the word tells us. And that's the whole thing. So prayerfully, he had that together and, prayers to you and your family and condolences. And trying to see what else. Yeah, Utah should start being cold too, though, because it's like I said, it's cool. What I would like to do, like I said, eventually, if Lord ever blessed, I would like to get me a travel trailer and a truck, and I'd be traveling to places like Utah and Washington State and Oregon, Pennsylvania. I'd probably hit several. I'd probably hit every state, with the exception. I was never a fan of Wyoming. Windy Wyoming, I didn't like. Idaho was okay, and the Dakotas were okay. I think those would be states, if they have fishing, I would probably want to go fishing. That's about it. Yeah, I think we're 70 today. Yesterday it was pouring down rain. I did laundry yesterday because I had to do the big blankets, and right now financially I can't afford the service. So, do you have diabetes? Wisconsin is pretty. Yeah, I like Wisconsin. Actually, what's the one place up there? Montana is not bad either. There was a wheat something farm up in Montana. Hey, Tanya, what's up, baby? It's wheat something farm in Montana. Tanya, is it getting cold where you're at? Because you should be cold. And thank you for saying that, Flatbed, because oftentimes I have friends, I love them dearly, and I know that they struggle with death, but there's a point where, it's like I got friends who have dogs, and I don't want to compare this, but it's a mindset. And I don't want my dog to die, so instead of putting the dog down, I'm gonna try to have this dog with me and it's suffering. And his foot got infected. Okay, yeah. He in his suffering, the animal's suffering. Well, it's the same with us, and I'm not just in reality of death. There's a point where we need to let go. It's time. God, we all have a timetable. The Bible tells us every man is given an appointed time. So we all have a timetable in which we have to go home. We have to, you're appointed a time to die, unfortunately. But the thing is that hopefully we all prayerfully have a season where we impact people's lives and where people impacted our lives, and we have something that we did on this planet of value. To me, the worst death is to die and not have any, it's all been about you. You haven't done anything really of major value. And I hate to say Grumpy was kind of like that when a life with value sometimes fills a church. When you see the ones that were insignificant and it was all about them is where you see very few people because it was all about them or it was just drama. And I'm not saying that numbers always, but it is indicative usually. And I'm not talking about like the Queen's funeral, although that was huge, but her life had impact and it had meaning and, good, bad, or indifferent. I know this woman personally, but the outcome and even countries that mourned her death, it said something. The same thing should happen when we pass. If we have a life, we should have some people that are there that say, oh, it's just not obligation because I'm related to you. It's because, hey, you had an impact. And I do know it's unfortunately, I think for some of us, it was an obligation just to we're his kids, so let's show up. I'm not saying you should be fully remorseful, but there should be some remorse. We didn't have hardly any of that with him. I was like, I'm sorry for how he died, but his choices were very self-focused. So the good thing is that your father had an impact to say, hey, he was a good dad. That right there, that speaks volumes. Because I remember when you said that in the last video, he was a good dad. That speaks volumes. Is when you want your kids to say, yeah, my father was a good father. He was a good guy. I can't say that about mine. Again, I'm sorry for how he was, but I can't say that about really either of my parents. But I can't, either of my parents. And I don't mean to be mean, that's just real. But I have friends I know who they have a very hard time dealing with death and they don't know how to let go. And I'm like, whoa, because it's amazing to me. If their parent could have stayed here suffering, they probably would have been happy. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And so even I have one, and I had a family member who didn't make right choices and he died and they were mad at him. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody's appointed a time. Everybody has a journey, good, bad, or indifferent. We have it. I know you might be upset that that person's no longer here, but there's a point where you have to let go. But if that person would have stayed here and been suffering, they would have been happy with that because they were there. They were here with me and they didn't go and I'm not sad and you're still here even suffering. And that's just to me, not good. Monty died, Chicago BBW. Monty's dead. What do you mean help him? Are you talking about helped him when he was alive? I don't know if you knew. Monty died a while back. He died over a year ago. I thought you knew, but maybe you didn't. Oh, well, yeah, I'll be honest, initially I was just gonna go get my stuff. If it wasn't for the nieces, I would have not done the funeral part. So what I did was I dealt with the funeral part of it. And then the other ones that didn't want me had a car or whatever, and they were supposed to sell the car and the money was supposed to be split, two of them handled the cremation because I was going to leave the body on the state. I didn't have anything. I got some paperwork once I got back here. I sent in all the information I had. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that. But his life insurance was not very much. I don't know if it's being split among a whole bunch of folk. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. I filled out any questions they asked me and sent it. And that was it. Shannon was done with it. I wiped my hands of it. I've checked on it to see what's going on. I'm still got to find the autistic brother because he may be eligible for the pension, but I don't know if it's too late for him to even get that. We're still working on that part of it. But that's it, because I don't really have any help. I've been doing it all on my own because the other ones didn't really care. That was just not their thing. I think the one who showed probably the most decency in it was Christina. That's the daughter. She probably showed the most decency of all of them. But the youngest son, in the whole, I can't. That's right now. I'm good. I'm good. I'm so good. In communication is pretty much only through the prayers with her. I can't. It's not a hatred. It's not a dislike. It's just, like I said, it was weird. It was very weird. But I did it mainly for the brother who's in prison's kids. Um, they were so respectful, and I did not know, because Grumpy didn't talk about stuff because he was weird. I didn't know he had any kind of half decent relationship with them. But when they came and said, "Well, does he have this bear?" and does he? And I was like, "Oh my God, they really saw him as a grandfather." Because that's not. I mean, I had my mother's father was a grandfather. This dude, I'm like, wow. But he probably did a few things with Norris's children, but he did not. His interaction with kids was horrible. Um, but Norris, I think that's the one who spent his life in prison. He always put money on his books. Norris was that, I think, of all his children, uh, that was the one he was there for the most, other than me crashing there occasionally, with me trying to transition out of Arizona. So, but that was the kid he probably did the most for. Um, and supposedly was married to the mother. I don't know, because right now he lied so much, I don't know what's true, what's false. I don't know what's true, what's false. So, but Norris is his first son too. And so Norris grew up around him. So again, I don't know. I don't know what's true, what's false. It's, again, there's so much drama with it. Because Shannon would have just went down there and got my 2 bins and threw a peace sign and left. Because that would have been really what I would have done. I hate to say that, but that's honesty. What'd you see on TV today, Flatbed? But prayers for safe travel, Chicago BW. You will be on prayers, and I'll put you on our prayer list too. And I want to know what Flatbed saw on TV today. Thank you. That I need. Um, so I have a slight tremor in the left hand. I gotta go get that checked. It's just slight. It could be for a lot of different reasons. It could be because I've decreased my coffee intake. Because my doctor was like, "How much coffee?" Because I would sit here and drink 32 to 64 ounces of coffee every day. Ozempic. What is that the name of this health thing? Okay. I definitely, Flatbed, I will look at it. Because I have been, even though you can't see it, it's funny, I can feel it, but who's seen it is my friend Linda. So Linda was like, "You're losing weight." And I think it's because, I've got the stress of just stress in general. My mind is always busy on stuff. But also with the 2 hernias, I have not been able to eat exactly the same way. I can only eat so much because my stomach gets very uncomfortable if I eat like I was eating prior. And so that has helped. And so she's like, Shannon, you losing weight. I was like, okay. And it's not anything I'm really focused on. I think it's just between stress and I'm eating a little differently, because of the bulges. I think that's it. Also, I've been cooking more at home, obviously, because I can't go out and eat because the money is funky. So I've been cooking at home more. And I can cook, but for whatever reason, sometimes I don't like to do, like, I could get in that kitchen and be up in there and make some meals. But as I used to do that, I found that I only ate part of them, and then I end up throwing a bunch away. So I'm trying to do stuff that's more limited to me. Like, so right now I didn't have any room because they had whole chickens on sale. And I was gonna, they're 99 cents a pound, which is really cheap in today's standards. So I bought one, and then they had, I think, chicken legs on sale, 99 cents a pound too. So I bought a small package of the chicken legs, and I bought a small chicken. No more than $5. I mean, because normally I would went for the biggest one they had, and I think they had one for $10, a big fat bird or whatever, $8, whatever. I was like, I can't eat all that. So he's gonna go out on the smoker here in a little bit, and I'm gonna put him out there, and that'll be part of what I do for the week. You can do a lot with it, and chicken salad, different things I'll probably do with them after I get them on there. The legs are gonna go in the freezer. I'm going to put them in some Ziplocs and freeze them. I want to get a seal-a-meal because I think that's my next move, especially with the cost of food. Is definitely get a seal-a-meal. And then, like I said, I'm waiting to see how I'm going to deal with this, the person. Hey, PJ, what's up, baby? How is it cold where you at? I'm gonna and PJ, y'all forgive me. Sometimes I forget where y'all at. Like I know Chicago because she's in Chicago. She's in Chicago. Flatbed told me she's in Utah. Uh, I have two Tiffany's on here, and I know one is in two Tanyas. One is in Maryland. And where's the other one at? Somebody's in Texas, somebody's in Maryland. Oh, and PJ, where are you at? Are you in Texas? I don't know why I'm thinking Texas. PJ, are you in Texas? I thought you were in Texas. NC, you're in North Carolina. I love North Carolina. That's another pretty place. Very, very pretty. Gorgeous. Not a lot of truck stops when I look for them, and they be small as hell. But I love, you guys, that greenery is gorgeous. Such a pretty state. I like really green states. I like if they have lakes. I do like the beach area, but that body of water is a bit much for me. Kansas City, the ribs. Just got her. All you gotta do is say ribs. I'm gonna know where you at, bruh. The Swift Yard that I would come into with a student and we would go, and I think it was Gates Barbecue, was in Edwardsville, Kansas. I think that's it. I think it's Edwardsville. I think it was Edwardsville, Kansas. So yeah, and I think it was Gates. I don't know why the Gates is the most familiar one to me. It was a decent barbecue wherever I went. Yeah, the barbecue. Y'all barbecue sauce is sweeter though. It's more of a molasses based. I'm okay with that. I like that vinegary sweet. I like tangy, vinegary sweet with a little heat. It can have a lot of heat for me because the one I make is hot. Actually, I'm going to possibly make some today. I'm trying to see. But I got off subject. Oh, the weight loss. So yeah, so I've been just it's a little different. Like I made the picture you see of the ribs. I did those. Those are the St. Louis ribs. I ended up giving a chunk of those to Linda. I don't know what it is. And I have to have a good sauce with pork ribs. I'm not a huge, big person on the flavor of pork. I can't explain. Except for ham. I like ham sandwiches. I like bacon. I just found out about a part of AZ where you can boondock your RV. It's very desert looking, 168 for 7 months. Are you watching that guy, Chicago BBW, white hair? He tells you how to live more nomadic because he had some spots. I was looking at, it's a video, I think. He just talked about like 7 months and you could work in Nogales, I think it was, or Yuma, one of them two. And he mentioned things like a bus driver. He mentioned a whole bunch of jobs because they need jobs. But I'm gonna tell you right now, here in Arizona, there's job signs. The grocery chains here, I just was it the other day. I had to go get a little change because I had one of my family members was kind enough to send some money to help out too, and that'll get me gas. And then help me do laundry. I had to pick up a prescription, and I had a what else? And a utility bill. So that helps with that. So I went to the grocery store, and when every grocery store I'm near, they have signs interviewing all day long. That's how bad it is. They're like, we're interviewing. We have interviews all day long. They're interviewing and hiring right on the spot. Yeah. What you can do is if you RV there, I think he said there might have been something with water. It was a nice little desert place he showed because I like watching a lot of the RVs and van lifers. And he's been on for years, and he actually does, I think, a Skillshare has him with a 10-week or something like that course or something like that, or 10-something course program that he tells you how to live a nomadic life successfully, living out of a van or an RV, and even how to work while over the road. Matter of fact, he just did one I just watched with this young black girl who said she had this job, was making good money, owned a house, and I guess she went through a very bad relationship situation that became abusive. Ended up, just really dealing with it emotionally and analyzing her life. And part of her journey, you saw it too. Okay, part of her journey was painting and stuff. And then she said people were buying her paintings. And then all of a sudden she was just looking deeper at her life and then decided to buy a RV and has been living in it. I forgot how long she said she's been living in it with her cat. Now, I'm not a cat person, but I would have a dog. But yeah, I trust me. I was looking at that when I got back here. I was looking at getting a van and trying to do that. This is what opened up this, and happy that this did, because like I said, my rent here is very cheap. In Arizona, though, I'm gonna be honest, if you move here, I'll be shocked if you can find anything under $1,400, $1,500 a month. When people find out what I pay for rent, they're like, how in the hell? And I just moved in time. Like I said, this is not the shiny nickel. The outside of my complex is not. Oh, I've never seen her channel, so I got to find her channel because I've never seen it. It was very interesting watching her. The other one I watch is a lady named Tiffany. It's called Where is Tiffany? You can look at that one. And she has an RV, or excuse me, she has the van RV thing, but she bought hers already pre-done. She didn't do hers up. So she bought it, and that would probably be me because I don't have the energy to build. I think the build outs are cool, but there's a lot of money, and I don't have the time. I'd have to have extra help. I'm not in that shape. So I would rather just buy an RV and hook up and all that stuff. Um, exactly, and it's and but this is a good subject too. Um, that's one of the things with going through this, I've been looking at, because easily, if you can't pay the rent, you can be evicted, and then you on the street. And I don't have, I mean, I got family here, but we're not close. And for me, I wouldn't feel comfortable asking them for nothing. My biological mother's here, and that's sad to say, but that's just facts. I have a brother who's here with his wife, but I don't want to go and, oh, I need to play. No. And I've stayed with Vivian and her kids. I don't want to do that again. They've been very kind. And so having an alternative. So I am also looking and thinking about either getting an RV, getting it straightened up just in case, like a backup plan. I'll be honest, when the ankle was fractured, I don't know why I had this vibe, this thing, and I even have stuff still written down about having my own land, putting a tiny home on it, and being totally self-sufficient. It was something that was strong in my, and I'm thinking, Shannon, this is crazy. You start questioning yourself because you're getting this vibe. And I believe that might have been an unctioning God had for me to do, but I just didn't pay it. I was like, this is crazy. Nomadic Introvert is a no. I just started watching her too. I watched her actually when she first started. Yeah, I know I have a friend. One of my friends that used to work at the University of Phoenix, and she's living in an apartment, and I know she's paying like 14, 1500. She's already prepping her car. She has a crossover, so already tore out the back seat. She worked down here with some of the nomads that are here in Arizona. I guess she met one. He helped her build her crossover out, and she actually has like everything set up. She's got solar panels on the roof. She bought land in New Mexico that she plans to go to. Right now, I think she's just working, putting money aside. Laura's very frugal. She's got her car already built out so she could actually end up. And I told her she doesn't want to do YouTube. She doesn't like to talk a lot. So she's like, everything's text. She doesn't like talk. She's an introvert in herself. She'll end up with people, but she's different. She's different. Sweet person. She's just different. And I'm kind of, even though I get on here and I talk, I'm kind of a recluse. Monty was a recluse, and I realized that's something. I'm kind of a recluse in certain ways. Like for me, I love working from home. The job I'm going to, I got to go back into an office, but they do sometimes give you work from home, and I'm praying they give it to me, because honestly, I prefer work from home. If I didn't have to go out this house, I wouldn't. I'm honest. I honestly wouldn't. I'm looking at getting the washer thing. I'm not going to get a dryer because the dryer make your utilities go up. But I am looking at getting a portable washer. I'm going to get a little line thing, a thing to hang my clothes on. And even the laundromat's going to be kicked to the curb. No, she went to New Mexico, not Mexico, New Mexico. So she bought property in New Mexico, not Mexico. But I do know there's people, they call them expats that are, they're leaving America and going to other countries and residing there. So there's people doing that too. And it's something that has crossed my mind. Trust me. I know I love travel. I just don't want to travel and make it work in a truck. And I lived out of my truck too for a while, flatbed. So I did when I first went into trucking. That was like the best way. I would come in and either stay, crash out at Vivian's, or I would stay at a hotel. And I did that several times because if you're single, it doesn't make any sense to pay rent, because you're not home enough, especially with trucking. But the thing is that for mental health, you do need to get off that truck. It's too small of a space for too long of a period. And even if you end up doing the thing where you're living in an RV, depending on the amount of space, that space may need you to mentally get off. Because I know that there were times when I could tell I got to get out of here. And you also still need to interact with people. So one thing about the nomadic community, a lot of times, even though there may be nomadic and they may be like alone, they do collectively form a group. So like, where's Tiffany, for example? She has friends. That's how she kind of got into it. That she'll come. She's been here to Arizona, and I don't know her personally, but I know. I was like, oh, okay, she's here in Arizona, and she'll say she's here and she's staying in a friend's yard. So she is interacting with humans. She's getting off the truck. I mean, off the van. You need to get out of it if it's an extremely small space. But that I think is also the plus about small spaces is that you need to get out, you need to interact. You have to have human interaction. Yeah, the one girl I watched today, PJ, mentioned that she bought her RV from them for 40 grand. She said she did that. I ain't got that right now, but yeah, she said so. That actually gave me some ideas too. Like I said, I, I, it gave me a lot of ideas. A lot. Now I'll be honest. What I would love to own is a schoolie. Yeah, and I think what it is for a lot of expats, they're looking at the money. So when you look across our country, it's expensive now. Areas that you might find that would be affordable, and maybe for us, you understand what I mean, for African Americans, they might not be the area you want to really live in. Um, because there's still mindsets that are in the past, unfortunately. And those mindsets don't like folks like us. So I'll just be honest. And where you trying to go and it's all green and pretty, it's going to be a living hell. I remember when I was 13 and we had a cousin, I think it was Alabama, and we went down there and he said, don't leave out this house after 6 because the Klan is still active. I'm like, and I just found out that these are what's called sundown laws. I'm like, what the hell is a sundown law? Which means that if you're a person of color, you ain't supposed to be out after it because you might run into some issues. So these are unwritten laws that are still in effect in certain parts of our country. And I'm just like, wow. Matter of fact, me and Linda were just talking about that yesterday. And Linda, because I told her, she said there's places she won't go visit based on. Oh, you know what? And let me just chime in on that, on purchasing too. Was it Tiffany? Where is Tiffany? She said that she got her RV in the middle of the country. Don't buy on the East Coast, don't buy on the West Coast. Buy it in the middle of the country. And I think she got hers in Texas. And she said the prices were really good in Texas. But she said look in the middle of the country for RVs. Because she said the prices on the West Coast and on the East Coast were high. And so when she bought hers, she bought in the middle of the country. So I definitely recommend that. I watch that. When I'm watching YouTube, a lot of times I'm watching van lifers like, what's that, Van Life, what's his name, Chrome, who's up in Canada. I used to watch Eamon and I still watch Eamon and Beck, but Eamon and Beck, who they did their van life, they were in Canada. Aki and Max, and he was with his girlfriend, but she committed suicide. So it's Aki and Max, and they are in Australia. Max is the dog. Oh my God, who else? Where's Tiffany? I watch her. The introvert, I watch her. I haven't seen a converted horse trailer in a while, but I did see one a while back. I haven't seen any of those in a while, but I did see them, and they can be nice too. You are correct. And that's actually smart because it's a towable trailer. The other ones are the box trucks. I think those are cool too. I would want some because I'm short. I don't like climbing up into stuff. I need something closer to the ground. Yeah. Well, Chicago BBW, yeah, you're in Illinois. So yeah, if you come, you probably aren't too, because you're Midwest, so you're in the middle of the country. So yeah, so middle, you probably are seeing some good prices. Like I said, the schoolie I like. My only issue with school buses, they're not going to be fast, and a fuel is going to be an issue. Um, but then are you boondocking, whatever? Hey, Tanya, what you say to me? Yep, me. She said, yep, me. I don't know what she means, yep, me. What do you mean, yep, me? But yeah, so I like watching anything travel. The introvert, my problem is that she's not really going anywhere. So I've kind of been and she's different. She's definitely different, but because I'm tired of seeing her eat food and go I'm like, okay, everything you make is good to you. But not, I mean, and she gets stuff all the time and makes stuff, and I know she's doing more of a vegan, or not vegan, but cutting meat, because she does eat eggs, she does eat cheese. um but yeah, and then she had pizza the other day. I was like, okay, wonderful. And she's showing you her day-to-day life, which, okay, I get it. Some people, I have a lady, I like to watch her do her budget, and she budget, and she does urban prepping. She's an educator and minister. But I didn't even know she was Christian until later on in her channel. But she does a lot of budgeting, organization, cleaning, uh, some garden stuff, and it's just, excuse me, her day-to-day life stuff. She tells you about her ups and downs for Jory to go out. She had some budget stuff happen because she's a single mom. She's got two kids left in the house. I think she has a total of 4 children, and then she talks about the dogs. She counts the dogs too, and so yeah, she had a total of 4 children. I think one of her daughters is off to college somewhere in California right now. I think a master's or doctorate program. Very intelligent family. I forgot her son was military, and I don't know if he's going to school, but he's in another state. And then she has another son at home. He just got into a special program, uh, culinary some kind of special culinary program for high school. And so he's doing that because he's been being homeschooled. And then her other daughter, I think I don't know if she's semi-homeschooled too, and I don't know if she's getting ready to hit college as well. But yeah, just really, I kind of enjoy, and I watch her do her organization. They do their food preps, they cleaning. She preps just like I do as far as collecting food. She just got that sense of things, and she's been doing that as well. I watch Alaska Prepper. I like him. I don't necessarily know that everything he say, because he always is like, prepare now, prepare now. That's the preppers, the hardcore preppers. The world's coming in tomorrow. Although I do agree that we're gonna have some issues, and we're having and are going to have issues. So I do enjoy it, but every time you go to their channels, it's so dire, and so I don't. Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I think we got some issues. I think he's on point, but yeah, a little bit overkill for me. But I like to listen to a lot of stuff because he's got some stuff like, I'm gonna do the gold coins and the silver coins once I start working. Um, I have been looking at a company, and I had that vibe. Like I said, back when I fractured my ankle in 2016, when I was down, I was writing out stuff, and stuff was coming to me about having my own property, having a small home, being self-sufficient, the coins, all of that. Flatbed, I'm done, dude. She's like, that's landlocked. There's a lot of land up in Alaska. It just might be wilderness land, because there's people that buy land up there. Um, Alaska's, I love, one of my favorite shows, y'all, was Northern Exposure. I make sure I got the whole thing downloaded, because you can't, there's stuff like Simon and Simon was another show. I can't find it on web TV, web TV or on any, and what's the other one? Northern Exposure. They don't have them on there yet. Oh, y'all want nothing to do with Florida. God bless you in the Florida. I'm good. You can have Florida. I don't want nothing to do with y'all. No, no offense. I've only been through part of it. It's green, it's pretty, but y'all, the hurricanes, the mindset down there is really bizarre. In my opinion, again, my opinion. My best friend, don't even get her. Jane jumps out the plane when we start talking about Florida. She hates it. Her husband is from Belle Glade, which I guess was a real hardcore area of Florida. And he's totally cool dude. He's a man. And she's like, if it wasn't for him, she said she would not want to be there. She hates it. Oh, okay. And flatbed, what I did was the same thing. When I was over the road, I used Joe's address for a while, and then I got a UPS box. And I was using a UPS box, and then the store went under a different ownership, and the new owner was a dick and wouldn't hold your mail for long. So at that point in time, I was like, oh, okay. And then I moved it back to, I think, Joe's address, and he would just get my mail and hold it for me. And then when I went to Texas, I had Grumpy get the mail. So I feel you. Yeah, the hurricanes and the mindset is weird. So you want to go to Texas or Montana? Now, Texas has a unique mindset, but there are a lot of us there. Montana, I don't know if there's a lot of us there, although Montana has some very pretty land and a lot of land. Um, I'm trying to think if I could move and if the Lord opened the door and I was going to actually have property, where would I do it? So I'll be honest, right now in my home state of Arizona, I'd probably go up north. Flagstaff. I know some people are in Snowflake is another area where land ain't that expensive from what I understand. There's a family and I watched them, My Little Homestead, if y'all ain't never seen them, and you can start from the beginning. So I stumbled up on their channel, which was weird, and all the kids I think are grown now. And him and his wife moved there. He had a job loss. And I think whatever it was struck him so hard of being down here in the valley, and all of a sudden, things go haywire and you're hanging on a thread and you don't know, hey, if it's not for this, and this, I'll be on the street. And so he made a conscious decision to buy land up in, I think he might be up in Snowflake. I can't remember where they're at, but they're in northern Arizona. And they bought land and he made all his houses, because they have several houses. He made the original house from recycled materials. He used mud and bags and made what they call, oh my God, it's a something house, and it's made with mud. It's made with, like, you fill the band with bags with the dirt and you put these bags on top, and then you do like this. No, that's not the name of it, but something similar. I forgot. Oh my God. If you go look, it's called, I said it earlier. Anyway, something little house, something. Anyway, My Little Homestead. And so Earth Bag, that's it, Earth Bag. Thank you, Miss Ann. Welcome to the channel. And I got your thing about the bidet. I saw your comments on the bidet. She's trying to tell me how to save on toilet paper. And so she's like, get a bidet. Earth Bag, yeah, the Earth Bag house. And he made Earth Bag house. And he started with the one that they stayed in. And then as the kids became teenagers, each one got their own little house he made for them. It's a really, oh, they're in southern Arizona. Okay, good deal, good deal. I didn't know they were near the border. I thought they were up north. Okay, and then there's a new one called a Boulder Life, Boulder. Now they're up, I think, in Snowflake, and they were down here in Arizona, and he kind of got the same idea. He said, we ate beans and rice until they could buy the land, and right now they bought like a beat up trailer. It's him, his wife. Is it 3 kids? I think it's maybe 3 or 4 kids. I know he's got 1 little girl and the rest are boys. It might be 4. Anyway, they're doing, matter of fact, I got to watch their video because they just did solar. And I enjoy watching them do the solar panels. I don't know. Y'all, I like looking at this stuff. It just is that self-sufficiency is so intriguing to me. And he just put the shed up. They did the solar panels. Amen to that, flatbed. They did the solar panels, and they were down here in the valley. I think he said he was an electrician. I don't know what the wife did. And they just, no more. And so they moved up north to Snowflake. Now, I've been to Snowflake, and Snowflake can get cold because anything up in the mountains here in Arizona is going to get cold during the winter. But Snowflake used to have a recycle plant. Matter of fact, one of my first driving gigs when I was in training with Swift was going to Snowflake to the recycle plant. And we sat there for a minute. They paid us a lot of layover pay because we sat there for a couple of days. They just were not organized. I don't think the recycle plant is there anymore. And the last time I was there was stuff moving around the ground, which I think were scorpions. And I had to jump back in the truck, put my boots on, and keep stumping as I was rolling up the landing gear to try to hook up to the trailer. Because I could see these little lights moving around on the ground very fast. So the only thing I could think is this got to be, and I had never seen scorpions, but it was a lot or whatever. So I was like moving my feet. Anyway, and I remember that. I still remember that to this day. But lo and behold, yeah, I like watching stuff like that. But yeah, they do the earth bag, and he, just how they ended up, each kid got their own thing, and they actually ended up doing well on YouTube. One of the daughters just got into doing YouTube videos about what they were doing, and then I think they just did very well, and then companies started donating things like their roofing material to them to try it out and give reviews. So God just blessed them, you know, and their channel did quite well. The daughter is now, I think one of the daughters is married, and her husband took an RV and they're redoing that. And they did a little traveling around looking at alternative forms of living. So it's funny because as I was watching, I forgot the dude's name with the white hair. I forgot his name. He's been on there a long time, and I forgot his name, doing nomadic stuff. And he was saying that, you know, the American dream, let's talk on that for a minute, y'all. The American dream has you living something that has you very extended and, you know, not really living life. You're living life just to live the American dream. So you're paying for this dream. Whereas if you live life according to maybe the terms that are, or Bob Wells, I think, I like you, Miss Anthorpe. Look, me and you. You are on the page right now, my friend. And so he talks about, you know, see, y'all, I told y'all I got different things that going up in this head. Y'all don't always know everything I be watching and how my mind works. But he talks about, you know, and I mentioned it today on that lady's video when he was showing her, and I loved it. He said, basically the American dream, and I'm putting it in my own words, it'll have you basically hemmed up. That's I'm gonna put it in ethnic words. It'll have you hemmed up financially trying to live the American dream. Right now I don't have any furniture. Well, other than I have my desk, I have a chair, I have the bed. And honestly, because I lived on a truck, I know that I can live very simply. I don't need a lot. I got stuff I'm going through right now, and I'm like, do I really need this? Do I really need that? I had that, like I said, that oven, that rotisserie, and I'm like, do I really need that? Because my goal is to get a rotisserie for the grill outside, or to get a more efficient rotisserie. And I don't cook the same way I used to cook all the time, because I used to cook. My mother was a person who was cooking for 3 kids as a single mom. So she was a heavyset woman. So she cooked always big. Well, I cook big. I noticed, I was like, why do I cook this much? Because I'm cooking like I did when I was at home, and that's what I grew up on. So I now have to curtail how I'm cooking. This is, like I said, I'm going to make that cowboy candy. It tells me, I'm like, oh, I'm cutting that recipe in half because it's only me. Also, I've never done it before, so I want to make sure it's something I like. And I may videotape it. I'm trying to decide because it seems really simple. Because all you're doing is making like a syrupy stuff for it. You're putting it in. You're cutting up these jalapenos. You're stuffing them in a jar. It tells you to put the jalapenos in there and cook. I'm going to do it my way, and we'll see if my way works. If I bridge away from the recipe a little bit, I'm going to cut the fresh jalapenos up in the jar, fill the jar up with jalapenos, and then I'm going to take the liquid and pour on top, and then just let it sit and marinate in it. Kind of like you do marinated onions. And I haven't made, but I saw this today, and I think I'm going to do it. Marinated, what did he say? Radishes. And he put them on, he made bao buns, and then he made, and I've not had, they call it pork belly, which to me is a fat piece of bacon. I don't know. I do call it pork belly. And they use it in Asian. So he did that. He put some pork belly in the Instapot. And I'm in love with the Instapot, y'all. I'm so on the air fryer, but the Instapot is your friend. Yeah, I do. And I used to do that a lot. Right now, I can't fit anything in my freezer. That's why I want a freezer. That's why Nikki has a refrigerator with a freezer on it, but I'm struggling with doing that because I really want a freezer. Because I think that would just work better for me. but she has a refrigerator that she's had in her garage that she said it came with her house, and she's giving away for free. So it would give me a bigger refrigerator as one person. And I'm like, well, Lord, do I really need a freezer? But this is free. So that's, like I said, I'm weighing everything in the balance right now. What do I need? I have 2 microwaves right now. I had one that was for the truck and one that was in this apartment. I had 3. And then Grumpy's went out, and then I told him he could have that one that I left there from one of the trucks. And then I have, because microwaves are cheap, right? So this is one of the cheap ones I got at Walmart. So I had one from over the road when I was with another company that I had in my truck with the refrigerator that I had in my truck, which is this little apartment-sized refrigerator that I have here as my second fridge. I'm going to be moving some stuff. I have a crock pot. I have the Instapot. And I haven't really used the crock pot, but I keep the crock pot because you never know that you want to, because Instapot also has a crock pot feature on it. And once I start getting into the sauce, I may need the crock pot because I'm going to start doing that. Once I start working, I found the place to finally order the bottles from, but I'm going to have to hold on some things because financially I need it. I know what I want for my logo. I've got to register some things, but I'm going to just start. Sometimes things take small beginnings and you start humble. So that's what I'm going to do. But that's why one of the reasons I want to get a Sealer meal, because you can meal plan. And that's another thing. I haven't done any meal planning, and I think that also makes a big difference in weight as well. Today, I didn't really, and I have tons of stuff here for breakfast, but I had made tuna, and I did Joe's mom's tuna tostadas. And my niece Vicky said, send me a picture, because she's vegetarian. And she said, send me a picture. And I told her, and I said, I don't know if because some people, well, let me say, she's mainly vegetarian. I don't know if she still does shrimp. She still did some more, she's calling it vegetarian, but pescatarian, whatever they call it, where they eat fish. And she don't eat it all the time. But shrimp, I don't know if she does tuna, but I think she had a head injury. So now she said she's going more heavy into the vegan area. So I told her, I said, well, I think Tabitha Brown did something where she took chickpeas and made them into like a tuna. And I said, well, you can do that and just use the same recipe idea, which is very simple, just a hard shell tostadas. You take tuna, put it on top, shredded lettuce, just like a regular tostada with beans, except you're using tuna. And then I do a pico de gallo, and I put that on top with some hot sauce. So I had that. That was kind of like my brunch breakfast. So that's what I had. Anyway, we're at 62 minutes. Let me kind of throw this in at the end. This is just real quick. There was a comment on there that Miss Stephania put on there, and thank you for commenting. And this not to be offensive, it's just I see things and I'm gonna say it from my perspective, and she's welcome as well as anybody, even Chuckarette, to thought processes that may not match mine. I think that's why sometimes conversations are good and thoughts are good. So she mentioned something about the war in Ukraine, and then she was kind of doing a racial comparison to the war. There's a war going on in Africa, but we don't hear about that. We only hear about this stuff in Ukraine. And I get you. I get you that usually the darker the pigmentation, then the less you really hear about us. However, my concern becomes that just because other people tend to be biased like that, we have to watch our own biases. And I think that what happens is we then jump on this bandwagon. It's about me, it's about me, it's about me. So something I heard like with the Black Lives Matter, well, no lives matter, or something, all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. Well, then you're becoming just as biased as the people who discriminate against you. The reality is every life does matter, and every ethnicity does matter. And in our particular group, we're tired of being discriminated against. Let's just say that. Stop comparing ourselves to someone else. So let me give you an example. When Kobe Bryant died, and I was on Facebook, and one of my friends, who's a driver, we actually teamed together for a minute. And he had said, he started getting all pissed off about comments, I guess, that Gail had made, I guess, and asking about the whole thing where Kobe Bryant had possibly done whatever with some woman, okay? And all that. I think, remember a long time ago, sexual harassment thing, whatever, years ago. So he's like, well, Oprah and Gail ain't said nothing about this since he died, and they ain't said, or something. And he just went on this tangent. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the price of tea? Oh, no, it was when George Floyd and some other stuff. They ain't said nothing and blah, blah, blah. And just went on this massive tangent. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? These are two separate events. But my other issue is, when did they become the experts and the answer? And why are we even caring what they say in conjunction to this situation? Sometimes we try to put apples and oranges together in the same basket, and we shouldn't. We need to just deal with the green apples. And the green apples are saying, hey, you guys are discriminated and we're tired of being discriminated against. Don't compare it to other folks' lives in the sense of this and that. Can I say, yes, I see that there is a difference? Yes, say that. But how can I put this? To me, another group that is marginalized, that is victimized, I have problems with us using that. It's like Jews and blacks. I said Jews to me are not white, so I'm gonna be honest, because that's the other issue, is that if we don't know history, we put people in categories. Jews were discriminated. Native Americans are discriminated against. People from Indian are discriminated against. People who were Polish were discriminated against. All groups have some kind of level of discrimination. It wasn't until some recent years that, quote unquote, those who consider themselves white, or I'm going to say it used to be called Anglo-Saxon, which means European white, that all of a sudden they say, oh, we're going to be inclusive of these groups, and we're going to say it's okay, and we're going to say they're white to add to our numbers, when in reality they're not. Middle Eastern, if you look at that skin is it's olive complexion. It is a darker skin. But at the same time, even my bigger problem has always been to rate people on their skin color. Because to me, white folks aren't white. That door is white. I ain't never seen a white person look like that. White people that go onto the word white are pink. When you look at their skin is pinkish. Okay? That door is white. I'm not black. That's black. Here's my skin color. So in reality, I'm brown. And Latinos range. So, and we put them all in an ethnic class. They don't even put them in a color category. If you go fill out an application, they can say they're Latino for ethnicity. So how did they get out of the race creed? So they're not even part of a race. And there's really truly only one race. It's a human race. So the whole thought process behind racial divide, it totally irritates me. It's a horrible philosophy. It's a horrible thought process, and it causes more damage than it does good. And the one reason I'm not a BLM kind of proponent, I don't like the word black, number one, but there's some other issues I have with the BLM in general. Some of their stuff is good, but for the most part, I don't agree with all of their philosophy. That's just honesty. I know why they came about, and I know that there's a whole bunch of reasons for them, but I'd like to overhaul it. I would really like to overhaul it. But I think that when we're sitting here trying to compare our plight against someone else's plight, I don't like that. I just don't. I think we need to deal with our plight. Okay, I'm about to watch it. I haven't seen it. I'll go look it up. If it's on YouTube, after yeah, I've got some issues with BLM. I do. I got a bunch of issues with BLM. That's just me. I'm not going to get into it here because my perspective is very different. Things that are supported, some of the stuff that they support, I don't necessarily support. I'm going to say this as best I can and as kindly as I can. I get, because I'm black in America and I have been discriminated against in many ways. Definitely, most of us have had it in a corporate arena. I've had it in a corporate arena for just being this, or even the alternative lifestyle I was in. I've been discriminated against. We all have. Especially, it's like I have a brother who's a GM for a hotel. Oh, I'm not shocked about that. That's not even, see, that's another thing. That's not common just to BLM. That's common to a lot of organizations, regardless of ethnicity. A lot of these people will create these organizations, and then that money come in, and there's a whole bunch of funky monkey stuff going on. So I'm not even shocked about that. That's not my issue with them, although I'm not shocked. And it don't matter. It could be a white group, all these groups. It's just like all this money that they had for the COVID relief. And they finding these companies, people created companies and fake companies and took this money and bought houses and cars. And all. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all. Because greed, and the humans that it's all about me. Here's my issue with BLM. I believe we support things within our community that should be considered criminal activity. And I don't think we should support it. Just because you're African American and your behaviors are bad, and then the police end up having to get involved, and then all of a sudden, oh, he done got shot. Look, if I was a cop and I told you to stand your behind right there, no, cop ain't doing it. Dude, stand right here. I need to go back and check something. That's normal. And next thing I know, you run and get in the car and you get shot up and you paralyzed. And BLM is hollering. I got problems. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't. Well, one of them was at a restaurant and he drunk in his car. He gets out and you take the car and you start fighting the cops and take the tape. You get shot. He ain't got to be black. He ain't got to be white. He could be me. He could be me. Because I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot you. I'm sorry. And all of a sudden, and I get it, because we've been pooped on for so long, now we're like, we don't care. We're going to support any behavior, even if it's horrific behavior among our own people. And I have problems with that. And to me, they do support that. And they then turn people who, to me, aren't victims into victims. And they're not. You basically ask for that crap. I got a brother who's sitting up in prison right now. And he's done a lot of stuff. Am I going to be like, oh, he's a victim? No, I ain't doing that. Oh, no. He done did a lot of his dirt. I can't. I feel sorry for him because I understand the generational curses that run in our family to have him in that life. I also understand he grew up with Grumpy and he saw things, and I think he tried to mimic some stuff, but Grumpy was just better at it than he was. And also the Grumpy was in a different time. Yeah, I don't... Shannon, don't feel sorry for you. No, I don't. I mean, I don't agree with you. I might feel sorry that you made those choices and now you got to sit most of your life, the rest of your life in prison, and you're going to be an old man before you get out. You know, we all, I just, and some people, my best friend, she's on the bandwagon, and I get it because she black. And I should jump out the plane and we agree to disagree, love her. I was like, no, dude, did you watch the same video I did? That dude tricked her with me taser. Yeah, he deserved to get shot. I would have shot him. Don't tell nobody you think that way. Okay, I'm going to tell you I think that way. I would have shot him. Tell you to stand your behind at that car. Stand your behind at that car. Don't move. You know, it's just weird. And all of a sudden, so my issue is that to me, sometimes they're, not everything, but they're supporting some things that I couldn't get behind. And all of a sudden, and society is so twisted now that we're supporting behaviors that, to me, we shouldn't. And I don't even only mean in our community. I mean, we can go to the pink folk. How they supporting them folks hanging off the wall at the Capitol. How you let them go home. Now, I'm going to be honest. Now we can do some comparisons. If that was a different ethnic group, it would have been a different outcome. We all know this. But I don't want to go there right now. I want to go to the action of the pink folks that was hanging off the wall. And just say, first of all, y'all foul, because they should have been arrested. Everybody up in there should have been wrapped up. Matter of fact, no offense, there probably should have been some more body bags. I don't mean to be mean and not wishing death on people, but that's the privilege of certain groups. But a lot more folk need to go to jail. I'm just saying. I don't know. Had I taken documents home that ain't in there, and I don't know what you done gave it away and who you gave it away through, but you can go ahead and keep walking around and be on golf courses. I don't know. So I don't even have to compare that to anybody else. I'm just going to say, y'all got some cultural biases. As I said, we got to look at the biases in each group. So for me, I'm not going to compare what's going on in Africa's war to Ukraine's war. And Ukraine is news. That's what it is. So you talk about the news media, that's what they do. It's sensationalized, they're going to focus. And the majority of the people with the power here to look at stuff like that, ain't gonna care. It's gonna be this, not this. Because I don't know that financially we're even on that level. Matter of fact, they were saying the Latinos, because they're a bigger culture, they believe in big families. They're financially in America doing quite well. But they are, and that's another reason right now, certain folks, certain groups is pissed off about what's going on the border, because you're bringing more Latinos over into this country. And they like, look, we don't want no more of them, because they not us. I'm just saying. So in the sense of, yes, I do see the differences and the disparities, but I can't just, I think we push it too much in our conversation instead of just saying facts. We're being discriminated against. We're not treated equally. And just state the facts. But I'm not going to take another group that has its own disparities and compare. Because Ukrainians have disparities right now. They are in a war, and I'm sorry for them. But a war in Africa, okay, there's always wars in Africa too. There's a lot of tribal wars still, I think, going on in Africa. That's not unusual for them. I mean, they've even had genocide-based wars, but we did bring in, and that's through some of the churches, because I actually affiliated with some of the churches that did the Sudanese refugees when they came here. And we have some Ethiopian people who have come here. So granted, they're not as close as the borders of the border for Mexico to get in here, but yeah. And I can't compare, to go, oh, well, you let more Spanish folk in than you do black people. I think they're both groups that have different discriminatory behaviors that are done, some similar, and we all need to deal with our plight. Now, if we're going to deal with the overall issue of America's discrimination, we can talk about that. We can put all them eggs in the same basket. You discriminate against a lot of groups that aren't following it under your guideline of being Anglo-Saxon white. Right now, I think there's a big thing in colleges that are dealing with anti-Semitic behaviors towards people who are Jewish. Am I gonna say, oh, well, they Jewish and they not black, so I don't really care about them? No, they're an ethnic group that is being discriminated against the same way when we get to the callous behavior that it's all about us. That's what's wrong with America right now, is that we become so self-centered, focused in our homes. Asians too. Thank you, Flatbed. And even, and the sad part is the behavior of discrimination. If we can't get on the same page as minorities, we actually are a stronger group together. We outnumber Anglos. And if we could pull together, but that poison of discriminatory separatist behavior has permeated each of our communities. So I don't like Asian folks, and Asian folks have bad thoughts about black folks. Hell, even within the African community, I remember like that, I found out Africans have issues with us. They see us differently. And I'm like, wait a minute, we the same skin tone. Wait a minute. We heritage-wise, we was taken from your country. In some cases, you helped enslave your own people. You traded some of your folks in the slave trade. So bye. We better know our history. And now you got black folks, and I'm gonna say black folks because I hate that term, but black folks from Africa who don't recognize other black folks. And we're less than they are in their mind. It's a poison. And unless you recognize that bias and that poison, you will not change. That's why I don't like, while I see the disparities between groups, I see the poison with it. In the Caribbean, didn't y'all? And I think in the Caribbean, y'all had like the more yellow the black was or lighter skinned African Americans, there was disparity between y'all. I can't. I can't. I'm like, okay, we all are African descent, especially when my skin in most cases look like this. Not always, because there's Latinos who are this color. It's craziness. And that's what I said, you got to step back and stop comparing apples and oranges and realize it's all the same. We're all fruit. So if I'm an apple, I'm an orange, I'm a red apple, you got yellow apples, you got what's this? Granny's, you got all different brands of apple, Lady Pink, whatever. All these different brands of apples. Now we might not all be the same color, but and then we're gonna discriminate within the groups, which is the same poison pill that the major group that wants to be the privileged group, they sowed the seed into. Child bye. That's like the house Negro and the field Negro, both of y'all slaves. Yeah, that's true. That is. And what pink people normally do it based on money and class. We do it often. We do it on money and class too, but we do it more so sometimes within the group based on, it could be skin tone, all sorts of stupid stuff, where you grew up, stupid stuff. And collectively we've got to change it, because there's power in agreement than there is in dissension. Anyway, y'all, hold on. Yeah, I agree with that, flatbed. Look, and we all have biases. That's one thing I'm learning in my Christian worldview class. We all have biases. Like people from the South with that drawl. What's our immediate thought process if we from the West or East Coast? They dumb, they weird, they backwards. That's the first thing. However, you may meet some people with Southern drawl who are highly intelligent people, smart as whips. But they had that drawl. We think we look down on them. And we also have a bias that may think they all think the same way. That may not be true till you get to know who the person is. You gotta let people develop and then figure out who they are and go from there. Anyway, y'all, let me see where we at on time. Let me see if I missed any comments. All right. All right. If you watch this later, give me a like, thumbs up, share it out. Driving around really made me open. Okay, I'm gonna say this real quick before I close out. Trucking actually, and I said this, it gave me a level of humility, because I will say, I believe prior to that I had some arrogance, because you will interact with all different people from all walks of life, just some honest, hardworking Americans in trucking, and simple thought process, simple people, but the sweetest people you've ever met. I got two brothers I met, two white guys I met in my trucking school. They took care of Hillary for a minute while I was out switching companies. And just the sweetest two guys ever. I'm just going to say to you, it will change the course of how you think and how you interact. If you go in and see people through, try to be as unbiased as possible and see through different glasses. And that's why, and I know I may think different, and I don't get all emotionally wrapped up in some of the voting things. Like, I'm not all like, well, yeah, I'm anti-abortion, but I think everybody doing abortion gonna go to hell. I'm not gonna do that. I do think there's some repercussions for actions. But in reality, I'm not God. I'm not the one you're going to stand before. In my sense, I see it in a certain vein. That's for me. And if everybody ever sat down ministry-wise, I'm going to explain why I see it that way, come with some scripture behind it, and then you got to do your own research and make your own decisions. Am I going to hate you because you did an abortion? No. I pray for you, love you where you at, and it's between you and the Lord. I'm not going to go and get all angry. I'm not going to get mad, because it's between you and the Lord at this point. And even if you support it, it's between you and the Lord. You see, it's just like all these folks shacking up together ain't married. I think it's crazy as hell. I'm like, why are you with this dude for 8 years, 9 months, had 10 babies by him, but this ninja and you ain't married? I'm not understanding. Because a new generation, they don't see marriage in the same vein as what I grew up in, and they don't have Christian views on marriage. So therefore, shacking up, living together, that's fine. I just call you wifey, and we no paper, ain't no, there's no commitment. Okay. And sister girl is okay with that. You do you, boo-boo. I don't agree with it, but people live how they're going to live. It's between you and the Lord. And that's how I see a lot of stuff. I don't believe in murder, but if you're going to go out and kill somebody, I can't necessarily stop you. If you're going to do it, there's going to be repercussions for those actions. And you can repent later on and hopefully make it in. But if you don't, you're going to have this between you and the Lord. I got nothing to do with it. All of that, and I've had a family member murdered. All of that has actions. There's action and reaction. Some, it's kind of like sowing and reaping. Some actions are good, you get good things as a reaction. Some actions are bad, you get bad reactions. I'm not going to flip, trip, and dip. It is what it is. Anyway, y'all, 85 minutes. The girls got some stuff to do because I got to get ready for tomorrow, work day. Start the new job tomorrow, y'all. Be praying for me. I really hope they pay weekly because I need to get some income going. But if it's 2 weeks, or we're coming in the middle of a pay period so I can have a flow, because that means I'll have a check probably within 2 to 3 weeks. But I would like it sooner than later. Anyway, y'all, 2 and 2, be blessed. Don't forget to check out that Ozempic. I will. And somebody else, you mentioned something about the Black Lives Matter. Candace Owens. I'll look that up on YouTube as well. So I'll be looking up those two. And I'll do the Ozempic. I'll look into that, and I'll look into the Candace thing. Anyway, y'all, if y'all got any topics or whatever, make sure you put them in the comments. This is, when we're in here, this is chat. But if you can comment later, it helps. Y'all be blessed. Be safe. And I think I may end up doing these on Saturdays and Sunday because my off days are only going to be on weekends now. So I may do these. I don't know if I do them weekly or bi-weekly, but I kind of like get in here and like let my mind flow. Anyway, if y'all have never watched this, I know y'all seen this in the corner. This is, if y'all ever watched this series, it was called Sleepy Hollow. It's a good little series. I enjoyed it. They did a twist on it, but it's like a detective and they searching for supernatural stuff. And they kind of try to do a twist on the witnesses and the 4 horsemen, but it's an interesting little show, and I watch it, and they're doing investigation, and it's good versus evil, so to speak. Anyway, y'all, peace. Talk to you later.